Stark chose you. He made you an Avenger.
You're gonna love this.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. Surprise, surprise. Apparently there's going to be a Spider-Man Far From Home extended cut re-releasing in theaters in a couple weeks. So I'll break the news down and talk about the deleted scenes that they're adding back in, because we also found out what all the deleted scenes and Blu-ray bonus features are going to be, and it's way more stuff than they put on the Avengers Endgame Blu-ray, which I think is kind of funny because Endgame was a much bigger film. You would think that they would make a much bigger Blu-ray with way more bonus features, but apparently Sony is rolling hard on Spider-Man Far From Home. So if you're brand new to the channel, we're doing a giveaway for the Spider-Man Far From Home Blu-ray. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber and leave your best Spider-Man 3 theory on the video. What happened earlier today is that on Reddit, a theater manager of a chain posted an email he says he got recently about Sony re-releasing Spider-Man Far From Home, an extended cut in theaters with a bunch of extra footage added in. The exact same way Marvel re-released Avengers Endgame in theaters with a new post-credit scene, or a couple new post-credit scenes and some extra footage. But looking at what the email this person posted says, the Spider-Man Far From Home re-release and new footage sounds way different and way bigger than what they did for Avengers Endgame. So for all the people that are shaking their fist and were dissatisfied with what the extended cut of Avengers Endgame was, it sounds like the Sony version of this will be better. I did a couple separate videos for those Avengers Endgame new post-credit scenes, so I'll link them at the end of this. There was the Hulk post-credit scene that was basically a deleted scene of Professor Hulk that they had gotten rid of before they finished visual effects, explaining more about him becoming Professor Hulk after the 5-year time jump. There was the Stan Lee cameo scene, and then there was the Spider-Man Far From Home scene. Here's the actual email that the guy posted, so you'll see immediately why this seems a little bit different than what they did for Avengers Endgame. So it says, I'm the manager of a theater. We just got an email about this, and it describes as follows. On August 30th, for Labor Day weekend, Sony Pictures Entertainment will be reissuing a director's cut of Spider-Man Far From Home into theaters across the country. This director's cut will feature unseen footage added back into the film for an all-new Spider-Man experience. There will be a major marketing campaign behind this new cut, so we are asking for everyone's support in playing the picture in both the regular and PLF screens, just the different types of actual movie screens inside theaters. The theater manager works inside the United States, so he's saying that he doesn't know if this is going to be happening just in the United States or if it's going to be worldwide. But I would assume if they're going to copy what Marvel did with the Avengers Endgame re-release, they would do it worldwide as well. There's a lot of things to unpack in that email. 5, why would Sony re-release a director's cut of Spider-Man in theaters to begin with? It already made over $1 billion in theaters. It's the highest earning Spider-Man film of all time. The email says Labor Day weekend. That's the weekend after the Marvel D23 panel. This is all probably part of the reason why they haven't talked about Spider-Man 3 yet, just because they don't want to steal thunder from a potential re-release with extra box office money from Far From Home when they're not completely done with that film. Sony's getting ready to shoot Venom 2 in the next couple of months with Andy Serkis, and Quentin Tarantino's DP. They actually just stole him off of Quentin Tarantino's last film. But get this, that same week they're also releasing Spider-Man Far From Home on digital, so there's going to be a home video release and this apparent re-release in theaters with all the extended footage. The physical Blu-ray won't come out till September though. But I think overall, Sony just hasn't had a ton of box office smashes during 2019, and because Spider-Man is their crown jewel, it just seems like they're taking a page from Marvel and just capitalizing on all the extra bump that they would get from a re-release. But there's no record that they're trying to beat. It's already the highest earning Spider-Man film of all time. It's not like Avengers Endgame where they were trying to inch out Avatar's box office record to become the highest earning film of all time worldwide. 4, on top of that, the fact they're calling this a director's cut is kind of weird, because extra footage is always awesome. I always love seeing all the extra stuff that they cut out of these films. They shoot like 3 to 4 hours of footage, and then by the time they're finished editing it, it's down to 2.5 hours. Avengers Endgame is just like a rare exception because it went a little over 3 hours. You're not going to see a whole lot of comic book movies go that long without doing like some special director's cut. Jon Watts, the director of Spider-Man Far From Home, is really cool. He already told us what a lot of those deleted scenes are, and there was a ton of stuff they had to cut for time. Not because Sony forced him to cut it, just because they actually needed to get it down to about 2.5 hours. But the big thing about director's cuts in Marvel movies is the reason why you haven't seen them is because Kevin Feige has made a big deal about saying that the theatrical cut is the director's cut. Once a director finishes his edit of a film, Marvel has a history of trying to not mess with them. One of the few exceptions is Joss Whedon famously complaining about the minor hostage situation he got into over his cut of Avengers Age of Ultron. You probably heard about this. It's actually fantastic to hear about a little bit of drama behind the making of this movie. Marvel told him that they would cut all of his Hawkeye farm scenes, with them being this dysfunctional family, if Whedon didn't leave in all the really weird cave scenes with Thor, because those were the scenes setting up Avengers Infinity War. That was during the era when they were still using each movie to set up the next movie in a much more obvious way. They don't do that quite as much now. They kind of let each film do its own thing. So when this theater owner's email says Spider-Man Far From Home Director's Cut, someone may just be misspeaking, and it's just them letting Jon Watts add in a lot of the good stuff that they had to cut for time. 3, probably the most important information we need, which theaters are actually going to have this extended cut. The theater manager posting here doesn't even say which theater chain he manages, maybe for fear of getting fired that he leaked this supposed email. He does say that there's going to be some kind of major marketing push before they do it, so hopefully that's when they'll release the instructions about where we can go watch it. But they said the same thing about Avengers Endgame, and how many of you saw a bunch of very detailed instructions that Marvel was posting about where to go see this? It was more like a couple Marvel Twitter accounts posting a few pictures, and that was it. They mostly relied on bloggers, YouTubers like me, traditional news outlets, to post all the details for how to go see the extended cut of Avengers Endgame. So once we do get more details about this, I will post an update video, but it's not supposed to happen for a couple weeks, so we still have a little while. 2, even more important, what are the actual new scenes going to be? We already know about a ton of the deleted scenes. I even did a Spider-Man Far From Home deleted scenes video a little while ago. There was a whole section of the movie at the beginning that was a solid 10 minutes long they had to cut out called Peter's List. Remember the short film by Peter Parker at the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming? And it was sort of him taking cell phone footage, making this short film about his special trip during Captain America Civil War. They did the exact same thing at the beginning of Spider-Man Far From Home, but it was him just going through a checklist of things that he had to do before he could go on his class trip. Getting his passport renewed, taking down the Manfredi mob in the Iron Spider suit, going to Mr. Delmar's new bodega to buy supplies and sell his Star Wars toys to get some spending cash. There were a ton of deleted scenes in that bodega. In number 1, speaking of which, here's the full list of bonus features and deleted scenes that are going to be on the Blu-ray in a couple weeks when they release it. I'll do videos for all this stuff too when they actually post them, just like I did for Avengers Endgame. There's a 30-minute special featurette called Worldwide Web Slinger. That's like a whole other short film in and of itself. That's crazy. There's the short film of Peter's to-do list. There's deleted scenes of Betty's blips. That's probably the funny montage at the beginning when they're doing the news broadcast explaining how everybody came back after the blip. There's bus rest stop with class. That's probably just more of the funny scene of him getting the new stealth suit and having to take his clothes off and getting caught by Brad. Beck's green juice is probably just a funny scene with Mysterio after they reveal the secret of his character and he's acting like real Quentin Beck. Peter and MJ on plane, and May sees glasses is probably from the very end when they're on the plane on the way back. Remember, Peter wanted to sit next to her so that they could watch films and they would get close to each other. They finally did that on the flight back. And May seeing glasses is probably just them addressing what's going to happen with the special Edith glasses going forward. There's a special featurette for a short film that Flash Thompson shot on his phone during the movie. Remember when he says, I'm going to get so many followers from this, and he starts taking footage of all the big action scenes that they get involved in? Traditional gag reel and outtakes, no big surprise there. There's a whole bunch of separate featurettes. There's teacher's travel tips, the jump off, stepping up, suit up, probably about the new suits. Now You See Me, Far, Far From Home, It Takes Two, Fury and Hill, the Ginter Riva Effect, Thank You Mrs. Parker, Stealthy Easter Eggs, The Brothers Trust. That's actually the charity that Tom Holland does. He does it for all the movies he's in. There's a Hydro Man Part 1 and Part 2 previs with them just talking about how they made the elementals. There's one for Molten Man. There's one for the final battle when all the elemental monsters seemingly form together. Obviously, it's an illusion that Mysterio created. There's one for the end credit scene with him swinging through New York City. First time we've actually seen him do that since the Andrew Garfield films. Then just an extra sizzle reel. So what'll happen is I'll be doing giveaways for the Blu-ray when we get closer, but it's not coming out for a couple weeks. And when we get more details about what's going on with this extended director's cut of Spider-Man Far From Home, I'll do some update videos about that too. But congratulations to the giveaway winner for my last big video. Glenn Watson, please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Everybody, click here for my breakdown of the Avengers What If Comic-Con trailer footage and click here for The Boys Season 2 trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.